talk show?
It is a talk show, and we are live here Tuesday night. Chat with the Muskrat, Mr. Creole Catfishing, and Chris El Gato Azul Catfishing, or TV.
Yeehaw, baby.
Yeah.
TV. What's going on, brother?
We are live. I'm from Texas. We are live. Welcome.
Welcome. Well, we'll let some folks come on in and say hello, and we'll start the show off. And I don't know that there'll be anybody in here that doesn't know who you are, but just in case, we'll go over that whole shindig, who you are, where you're from, what you're about, and all that. So, but before we get started,
are you want me to start? Or are you gonna say who's in here?
We'll probably say some hellos. What do you say?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's say some hellos. So I seen Alicia Barnett and Chrissy Brown were in here real early. Uncle Jeep, he says this is a better cheddar time. Catfish or Quiet Man Curtis, what's going on? John Patrick Jr., Lance McCougai, local 252. James Kirkpatrick and Liz Kirkpatrick are hanging out with us. Fishing for Whiskers, Buckeye Catfishing. What's going on, buddy? Paul Boyd is in the house. Dan's Creations is also with us. Skip Stewart.
Dan.
Clearview Outdoors, man. We'll talk about his,
what's up,
his
buddy?
new video. Look at that. Trophy Seeker Outdoors. I just so happen to be
Daryl.
Oh, sport numbers, baby.
Rocking a Trophy Seeker shirt tonight.
Representing.
I like to show off my my fellow YouTubers' gear. I like it.
Daryl's been on fire.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, it just jumped big time on me. We got Tim Molina in the house. Somehow went clear to the bottom. Jason Lamb. We got Catfishing Dreams. We got Mad Catter. Robert Linton. What's going on? We got somebody tuning in from Facebook. We can't see who you are, but what's up, Roger? So thank you for stopping by. All right, Creole. You see, I got to scroll back up.
Let's see. I see. I know we said Lance McCougai. I see Jason Lamb, Sean Abney, Mike G, my bumping brother, Mike Greenwell. What's happening, man?
What's up, Mike?
Let's see. Mr. Paul Boyd's in the house. Mr. Robert Linton is in the house. What's going on? Let's see. Fish in the Mid-South. What's going on, Mike? How you doing?
We got Freddie in the house along with Chad.
What's up, Freddie?
Hey.
The bait shop is in attendance tonight.
Oh, we got to behave.
Nah.
That's the fun in that, right?
We're going to do this all over again Thursday night. Fishing in the Mid-South. What's going on? Let's see. Mike Greenwell, man, he threw a whole bunch of plovers up there.
Greenwell, he knows what's up.
Sean Abney, if we didn't say hello, thanks for stopping in.
Miss Michelle, what's happening?
Michelle. Catfish Bandit. I don't know if we caught him earlier.
What's up, Bandit?
Those guys will be in the kids tournament coming up.
Yes.
So looking forward to that. Man, I hate that you guys are out of town. I know you do too, but
that's going to be a good time right there.
Stick around, and I will do one I do one in the spring, early summer, and then I do one at Halloween. So,
Oh, cool.
So maybe Halloween comes around, you guys will be able to get in on that one, and we'll go from there.
Yeah.
All right.
Halloween can be a good time for us. It's also could be the transition. So
could be.
Oh, well, we got Michael in the house as well. Don R. What's going on, buddy? Sean Adams.
What's up, Don?
Just said that. Justin's fishing fetish. Lucky dog wins the catfish machete. Woo! Uncle Josh's bladesmithing, and it was cool that you explained the craftsmanship and the metal on that thing, how the hammer works. You show the craftsmanship. And so
Josh makes some cool stuff. He made me a badass bait knife. I called the Spartan. Thing is beautiful.
Spartan. There you go.
Definitely.
All right. So we got 55 folks in the house. There's Mark, Catfish and Crappie. What's going on?
What's up, Mark?
And so we're gonna go ahead and get started. So, Chris, I don't think there's anybody in here, but just in case, could you introduce yourself, where you're from, what you're all about, And then
my name's Chris. My catfishing friends call me El Gato Azul. I'm from north of Dallas in Texas. I'm a catfishing freak like most of you guys. I've been doing it for 26 years, pretty much every week. So that's what we do. We're a catfishing family.
Well, we love to see family out there, and you guys all know that I got a soft spot for kids. So seeing Jackson out there with you on the water all the time, man, that's refreshing.
It's getting a lot. It's getting more fun every month because now he's able to catch these big fish. He was struggling to get big ones in the boat. Creole, lights out. But
there we go. That's coming back now.
I heard the thunder in the background on that.
Jeremy's got storms rolling through. Us too. We may get
power
power
up here. We got storms coming through tomorrow, so I'm good tonight. But Chris, what got you into the YouTube thing? So you said you've been into the catfishing world for like 26 years. But,
so when I had my son, I started bringing him when he was around 2, and I just wanted to, memorialize, our trips, all the good times we were having, all the big fish we were catching, and losing your phone, I lose my phone or drop it in the lake or something about every 2 years. So, you lose all your stuff and get a computer, it crashes, you lose all your stuff. So I thought, hell, I'll put this stuff on this YouTube thing, and then we'll always have something we can go back and check out, 20 years down the road, 10 years down the road, we can kind of see and look back and remember the good times we had with family and friends. And that's pretty much how it started. And we kind of did, montage, just short little video clips with our pictures for about the first year. And then, what's up, Redneck? Welcome, buddy. And then, I started doing the video stuff probably about a year ago. And it was difficult when I first started doing it because you guys know being a fisherman is not like being a videographer. It's completely two different worlds. And I'm out there to fish, I'm a fisherman. So we would lose so many fish, and I mean, lots of them, trying to deal with the camera. And it took a long time. And I put the camera down for probably a month because I'd lost so many fish. It was in the midst of the winter when we're catching all our big stuff. And I'm like, what am I trying to be a video guy, or am I trying to be an angler? And so I put it down, but then I was like, no, I got to get this thing ironed out. So I picked it back up, and I started finding some friends that were YouTubers, a couple local guys here, my buddy Killer B, Bill, Killer B Outdoors. Another friend of mine was fishing with Frito. And those guys kind of helped me figure out the camera stuff and get me pointed downstream. So as soon as I got some of that stuff figured out, it started being a lot funner, and then it wasn't such a pain in the rear, losing everything. And once I got that figured out, it started becoming easier, and it was fun. And now we're starting to get a few things figured out. We're still a pretty small channel, but it seems like it's starting to grow a little bit here and there.
Absolutely.
I can tell you that, the consistency you guys have out there is what makes it important. A lot of channels or a lot of folks can go out and get on a fish every now and then. But you guys are consistent, and that's what speaks volume when it comes to anglers' abilities is the consistency.
Yeah. I think building that consistency takes a long time. There's so many little wrinkles with catching blue cats. There's the patterns are ever changing. The season's ever changing. You've got so many variables. It's the wind, it's the moon, it's the temperature, it's where's the bait's going, and those things aren't learned quickly. learn slowly over time. Every year's different. Every month's different. Every week's different. And hell, damn near every day's different.
Yeah.
Saturday's different than what it was Sunday. And sometimes you get out there and everything's gone and you're like, you know, for years you just kind of float around like an idiot. But then I just learned to, on bad days, just to go look, you know, and you start putting things together and you start figuring out the pieces to the puzzle, and it helps you build consistency and over time. And, you know, I'm still learning almost every trip. I'll never stop learning. I mean, the way I fished this year is not the way I fished last year. And the way I fished last year is completely different than I fished 5 years ago.
Yeah.
The game is rapidly changing. The techniques are changing. There's a million ways you can catch these things. And what works for one guy might not work for you, you know? And what works for you might not work for a different guy. And I think finding kind of your groove and what works for you and then building off of that is probably what helped me. I just, you know, I did have a lot of really high level guys that taught me early on and helped me out. And so that's another reason why I like helping guys. I try to pay that forward, what guys did for me when I first started, however, you know, decades ago. But I do enjoy helping guys and helping new guys, especially if you got kids.
Oh yeah.
To me, that's the biggest reward or the feather in your cap is if you can help a dad get his son on some fish and help him figure things out. And, you know, for me, it's not a competition. It's like more like a brotherhood. And as long as you're friendly, I'll be open with you.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, you know, that's our goal and mindset here. We love to educate, share, grow all together. And like you said, the consistency, the seasons might change and the fish sizes may change throughout your, you know, like you guys are in spawn right now. But you guys get out there and you hunt for fish and you find the fish and you catch the fish. And that's what makes it, that one makes it fun to watch. And then you do, like you said, you share a lot of information throughout the episode. So not only people get to tune in and watch fish being caught. What's up, Dan? But you explain a lot along the way so folks can understand why that's working.
Yeah, I like to try to explain what we're doing, how we're doing it, when, why, all that stuff. I'll even give guys like locations, and guys are like, I can't believe you give locations like that. I'm like, well, where they are today, they're not going to be there next week when these guys are out there. I'm just trying to help them figure out something for later down the road. If you're trying to go fish a hole, maybe a river's different. You know, you can probably target holes and stuff, but a lake is not. You have to figure out the pattern for that day. And that's my son. I'm going to invite him in here for a few minutes.
There we go.
Oh yeah. Here comes the party.
Business is fixing to pick up.
Buddy, come say hello to our friends.
Yeah, but
don't be shy.
He ain't gotta be shy. Heck, I talk to him all the time. What's up, buddy?
Can you say hello?
Hi.
What's up, wild man? It's different seeing you not on the back of the boat.
Mm-hmm.
Tell him how big a fish you caught Saturday.
33.
30. Don't kick. Oh, 33.
33.
So this is their first season where he's really, but he was stuck on 26 for about a year. But this winter he's picked it up.
44.
He got him a 44 this winter, but he started catching. Don't grab that, please. Don't touch that. Earthquake. But he started catching a lot of 30s, 40s, and he got a 44 this year. So
heck yeah.
I'm excited because he'll have some of these junior lake records around here. It's just a matter of time now because he's big enough to crank them in. So
there you
go. Everybody enjoys Watson Jackson, that's for sure.
I want some.
Not only is he high energy, but he also gets to business when it's time to, and that's fun to watch, man.
He gets a little overcharged sometimes, but it's fun, and you know I enjoy having him on the boat. It's it took a long time. What's up, Bill? That's my boy Killer B. Y'all seeing me fish with him. You know, he was with me when we caught the 900-pound trip. Yeah, and when we had a 500-pound trip,
that was like amazing.
400-pound trip. So yeah, he's really helped me with this YouTube thing. But what do you think about Bill?
What's up, Bob?
Like Bill?
Dale.
All right, you ready to get out of here? Bubble blower.
You tell Dad you want to fish in the Halloween kids tournament.
You want to fish in the tournament?
Yeah.
He likes trophies. Y'all got trophies or medals?
Oh, we'll come up with something.
I'll donate a trophy. What's that, buddy? I think give me 1 second. We'll get him out of here.
Yep.
Okay. If you guys haven't seen Jackson in action, we call him the Texas Tornado in the boat.
You are missing out.
Hey, quit.
You want later?
Yeah, he definitely makes the trip fun, entertaining.
But like you said, whenever the rod goes down, he is business, son. Business.
What's up, Richard? Whitey Fry in the house as well.
Sorry
Bob,
about that, guys.
surprised. Haven't seen Bob in a while, so welcome, Bob. So fishing down there where you're fishing at, especially right now, is a lot different than what I'd say 90% of our audience is.
Yeah, so we're deep south, and we've already gotten up to 99 degrees a couple of days, and which rapidly changes things. Our spawn started probably about 3 weeks ago. We got up. I mean, our water was 81 last weekend. It's cooled off. We had a cold front blow through. It was 77, I think, this past weekend. But the spawn starts when it hits about 74, 75 around here. And it really cranks up about 78. So most of about half our big fish will actually leave our lakes. They'll go up into the tributaries, streams and rivers and do their thing. And the other half will go burrow into a hole. So they're damn near impossible to catch during the spawn. Yeah. So it's an eater bite. And, we don't usually catch one over about 10 pounds this time of year. We got lucky last weekend and got the 33, but that's not normal for us this time of year. Usually April, we're done with the big bite, and by May, they're looking for their nests, and then usually they'll come off their nests when the water hits about 85. Usually that's right around July 4th. We can start catching a few, but it's usually mid-July really when most of them. Now they don't go by a clock, but it's temperature.
Right.
Yeah.
Temperature, and the ones that are, the lake happens in different stages. It's hotter on the north end, deeper water's cooler. So
yeah, same here. Even when the spawn starts, it won't be the same every body of water. The water temperatures, most natural occurrences are regulated by green growing days, and so the moon phases is a thing that a lot of people go by, but the moon phase is the same typically as a green growing days. So your green growing days start on time. That everything's timed with that.
Yeah. I think that a lot of people don't realize that a lot of it has to do with the length of the day. The fish knows the length of the day, whether you think they do or not. They know that in the spring, the days are getting longer. They have an idea when the right time is. Temperature wise, it could vary that time of year. Yeah. They'll kind of stick to a certain temperature range, but a lot of that has to do with the length of the day, and same within the winter. Or in the fall, spring, they know that temperature or that day is going to get longer, so they start looking. And then when the temperature starts getting close, they're going to go do their thing. And so there's a lot of variables. It's not just moon, it's temperature, moon, day length,
Yeah.
A lot of variables.
Yeah.
There's nobody that knows the code. I mean,
Yeah.
we're all trying to figure it out.
That's part of the fun.
It is.
Yeah.
This year, the day length, intersects. It was cooler water this year. So it's changed. It's different. Every year is a little bit different.
Yeah.
You can't go with what happened last year. I mean,
Yeah.
you have to go on a 5-year cycle. What happened in the last 5 years, you might have the same type of circumstance that if you've got enough data in your brain, you can start piecing some of that stuff together. It's difficult, but that's what makes these fish, it makes them hard for a lot of guys, but it's also what drives you nuts and keeps you coming back and chasing them, If these fish were big, and if these big fish were easy to catch all the time, there wouldn't be any left. And
because everybody be doing it. Now I know from talking to you before we went live and talking to you in chats and all this stuff, and you've talked a lot about this already, is that you study for so long and so hard all the little things that may or may not affect what your fish are doing, whether it be moon phase, water temperature, every possible thing. So I'll ask the question for me and for everybody else. In your situation, in the lakes in Texas, what do you feel is the one natural factor that affects the fish the most?
The most, I would say, for me, it's a consistent weather pattern.
Okay.
If the weather's been consistent for 3 days, I don't care what the weather is, I can go catch them. If it's south wind for 3 days, I can go catch them usually. If it's north wind for 3 days, I can go catch them. If it's no wind for 3 days, you can go catch them. What usually messes them up worse than anything is some big change, like we had Saturday, 30-degree drop in temperature. We had big south wind all week. It switched out of the north. We had big north wind. They were not easy to find Saturday, but I did find huge group of them grouped up really good. The next day, I couldn't hardly find a group of fish. Everything was scattered out as far apart as you could see. I mean, it was crazy how scattered everything was in just one day.
Yeah. And I asked that question, of course, because there's always a big difference. And we discussed this with so many people, so many different chats, everybody talking about it. There's this big difference between what the lake guys experience and have to watch and have to pattern than the things us river guys look for and pattern and what's going to affect us. Like I know for us,
for y'all, I think it's rising and falling, current.
It's for me personally, it's a tie between current speed and water clarity. Those are the two things that affect where my fish are and what they're doing more than anything is current speed and water clarity. The river stage, it affects it, but not as much as those. Like I said, from my years of trying to figure it out, that's the one thing I know that will either mess things up or turn things on the fastest is water clarity and current speed.
Yeah, so for instance, like in lakes in the spring, we got water coming into the lake, dirty water coming in. Our fish will all move, not all of them. Not all fish think the same. Some of them stay in a certain area year round. They're not going to go all the way to the north end. But when the water's muddy, catfish like to be up in that, feeding on all the debris that's being washed in. The bait fish move in there to eat the bugs and all the stuff that's being washed in there, from earthworms and ladybugs and whatever junk is in there. Catfish are in there eating the bait fish, but they're also eating that junk. Even big fish will eat that garbage that's being flushed into the lake. And so that's definitely the water clarity. Catfish they will move up into something you can't even see through. And the guys are like, how do they, like, they'll go up in there. The catfish, they're sight feeders, but they can also feed off of vibration and scent.
Yeah, catfish have their lateral lines and stuff allow them to detect their detection zone as what they know is around them. And then they also have their bite zone. So how far they're willing to go to get something.
Yeah.
That changes all the time. Sometimes
also the air bladder is connected and it's like a percussion instrument. They can feel vibrations and stuff. And when I first started using rattles, probably about 15 years ago, we would use rattles and guys would laugh. Like, catfish don't hear things. And well, I think they might, because these rattles seem to be working. Now everybody uses them.
Yeah, I'm a fan of them too.
I
mean, you can't hardly find a catfisherman that doesn't use a rattle these days. 10 years ago, nobody hardly used them. And 5 years ago, they started getting popular. But now it's common. If you're not using them, you're missing out on quite a few fish. I think that's they can sense that vibration. It's not the only sense they use, but it's like a dinner call for them. It'll bring them in if they're a little further away. It'll get their attention, or they'll be like, "What's that thing? I'm going to go check it out."
I really think that is it right there. Is that it's just as much as it gets their attention.
Yep.
Yeah.
Simple as that. Yeah.
I agree. I think that of course, you guys have heard me say this before, but I think the rattles get their attention and the bait does the rest. Kind of like if you heard a tapping noise coming from your kitchen.
Yep.
And you got up to go check on it, but there was a plate of fresh chocolate chip cookies right out of the oven laying there.
Right.
You're going to say, what? You're going to forget about that noise. You're going to grab that plate of cookies and a glass of milk. I feel like rattles are the same way. I think they get the attention. They may, and I could be completely wrong, but that's my theory.
I call it the dinner call. It's like, come get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Usually when I'm fishing with my rigs, I have this thing about doing half and half. I'll go half without rattles, half with, or half one bait, half the other. But when I go half and half on my rattles, I have caught fish on just the rattles and not without. But I've never once had it happen the other way around. I've never once caught a fish on a non-rattle rig and not on a rattle rig. I've never, not once.
Yeah, they tend to want to hit that rattle. I tell guys, I'm like, when I first started using them, they were like, "You use rattles?" They're like, "It's like, yeah, you don't want fish next to me because you won't get a damn bite." I mean, they will all come over there to check that rattle out. The guy next to you will just be hammering them, and they're like, "What's going on?" Like, you might want to put some rattles on there. It doesn't really matter. I mean, some days they want a specific one. I usually use 3 or 4 different. I rig them up different. I'll put a little different one on. Out of 8 rigs, I might have 3 different ways I rig them, so it gives them a little variety. It's not all the same. Sound you're dragging through there, and I think.
Well, it helps you establish the pattern.
Yeah, catfish generally going to pick one of your rigs over all the rest for whatever reason that day. It's like maybe even the same piece of bait. And you're like, I caught 7 fish off this one piece of bait, and then you lose that bait, and you're like, oh, damn it. I might not catch another fish. I mean, they wanted that certain cut of bait that you don't have another one, and you're up the creek.
Yeah, we're big fans of the pink rattles. I seen comments in there, people saying that sometimes they feel like color makes a big difference.
Yeah, I've heard the flatheads will hit that one that's orange, kind of like looks like a pumpkin seed or orange, or they like that one. I use that high fin blue. It's silver. I figure it looks like shad. That's kind of their forage fish here. They'll eat, big blues will eat anything. They're not just eating shad, but they're around those shad and are feeding on whatever's feeding on them. So I think, I try to give them something that's natural to our waters.
Bobcat says he's slaying them on white, yellow with a red chin, but I don't think Bobcat's opinion counts a whole lot because he catches them on everything.
Yeah.
I don't think it matters what Bob throws.
Yeah. Yeah. He could borrow Catfish's Day Barbie doll and probably bump with it and still catch fish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He'd find a way.
Yeah.
And gummy worms for bait.
Gummy worms. That's right. That's right. Let's see. I'm trying to keep up with. So we had. Oh, that's Mark Mitchell. So Mark Mitchell sending me pictures from the river. He asked me yesterday. He said, "Hey, you want to go fishing tomorrow night? I'm going to get off work. You want to go bumping?" I said, "Yeah, I'll go." Then this morning I realized, hey, today's Tuesday. I got a show to do tonight. I can't go fishing tonight. So I had to cancel on him. And he's been nailing me, sending me pictures like, oh, yeah, look what I just caught. So Mark's tuned in. So, Mark, thanks for stopping by. My buddy Mike Peters from Chillicothe was in here earlier as well. He's an old-time fishing and hunting buddy. And then we had Brian from BK planer boards hanging out with us as well. So I was able to tune over to the Facebook side and see who's been hollering at us. I know you said you've been fishing for a long time, 26 years and into catfishing. Who got you?
Well, I've been fishing a lot longer than that, but 26 years I've been chasing these catfish, big catfish. Wow. We started off on flatheads. Our fishery used to be the king of flathead lakes in the whole country. The world record came out of my lake when I was a boy. And
wow.
There was a lot of 80s and 90s. I mean, constantly being caught out of this lake. It was really a timber lake when I was a kid. It's a recreation lake now. Not all of it. The deep timber's still there, but most of the shallow timber's rotted out and is gone. And that was good habitat. And then the city grew up around the lake, so our shoreline vegetation was all chopped down, and it's basically all maintained shoreline now, which makes a big difference on these fisheries when that's a lot of the food source for the smaller fish, and the flooded vegetation is where the younger brood fish are growing in the spring. And when the water level, our lake rises and falls, and when that used to drop, it would make all of the small fish have to go out into where there's no cover, less cover, and then the bigger fish can feed on them. So it trickles down, and our fishery's nowhere like it used to be when I was a kid, but there's still some good fish in it. You just got to takes a little more expertise to get to them now than it used to. You could just go fish and pretty good chance you catch a good one. But
so what is it that what fish got you started in the fishing? Not just catfishing, but
like a lot of guys, I grew up in the 80s, like a lot of these guys, and I started fishing with my mom first when I was probably about Jackson's age, about 6, for bluegill. And then in the 80s, Bill Dance and Jimmy Houston were real big into bass fishing, and they had a couple TV shows on that I'd watch every morning, and they would tell the kids on how to catch fish, and what lures to use, and, what rods to use. And Jimmy Houston said, oh, yeah, get this Shimano bullwhip rod and this Phantom 100 reel. And, I was like, well, I went and got that thing. And he's like, tie on one of these Terminator blades, spinner baits, and go catch fish. And that's what I did. Our lake's we had a big drought in 81. It flooded in 82. I was about 7 or 8 years old at the time. And back then, parents, they would just let their kids go out and run wild. And so I lived about a mile from the lake, and I would just go to the lake in the summer every day and go fish. And that's pretty much how I I cut my teeth. Was chasing those little bass, and then as I got bigger, it changed. We lived right by the Trinity River, so the impoundment, it had a floodgate, and we could go fish that floodgate. And you guys know floodgate's probably one of the best places you catch a catfish.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
We would go down there and catch flatheads, and that's how I got hooked on big fish. When I probably caught my first really good fish when I was about 13, and it was a big flathead. And after I caught that thing, I was down that floodgate every day trying to catch another one.
Yes,
you
sir.
know, so that's basically it. And then once I started, my dad let me get a boat when I was 14. I bought it with my lawn mowing money. I got me a little deep V, aluminum deep V with a 78. It was a 78 Chrysler 15 horsepower motor on it. You had to crank, and it might not start. It might. But he'd drive me down to the lake and put me in and let me go fish, you know, with my buddy. At 14, you know, now you would damn sure probably wouldn't want to let your 14-year-old do something like that.
Oh,
back then it was.
Can you imagine doing that now? Oh man.
But yeah, we do that, and we started. You know, our lake used to have a lot of striper and stuff, so that's my buddy Chris, Santa Claus. But
Chris
yeah,
Johnson
we
here?
had a lot of striper in our lake, so that's my boy. He's in my video. He dressed up as Santa, and we fished with my son. It was pretty awesome. We didn't have a very good day, but we had a great time.
Yeah.
But yeah, we started catching those striper, and then, you know, when you're a striper fisherman, you just catch blue cats as a bycatch. And I caught like a 40-pound blue when I was probably about 15. I was like, oh, you catch these big fish out here in the lake around these striper. So about 15, 16, I started chasing bigger catfish in the lake, and, you know, pretty much been doing it ever since. So
yeah, you sound like you got it bad, like most of us.
You know, once you
definitely.
catch one of those damn fish, it drives you nuts. It gets it's like fries your brain. It's all you can think about. And, you know, when's the next time I can get out there and maybe go catch one? Because you never know with catfish what you're going to catch. You know, it could be this big, and it could be a lake record. It never gets old. It's catching these big fish. I still feel the same way when I catch one now as I did when I was a kid. And y'all see me get, you know, pretty wild and excited when I catch one.
Well, we're all big kids, man. And if you lose that, getting that pumped up and getting excited on big fish or any fish, you just might as well quit.
Exactly.
I see a lot of guys on the YouTube thing that they act like, oh, well, I've already been there and done that, and like it's just normal. Oh, I got this 40-pounder, la-di-da. Here's my 40-pounder. I'm like, man, I'd be, you know, hooting and hollering, and everybody in the lake knows when I catch a 40. I mean, you know.
Let me tell you a little something real quick. And so last week I had the honor and pleasure of fishing with Doc Lang for a few days, and we would catch 20-pounders. I mean, we caught a lot of fish, you know, 30 and 40, but in the 30s is as high as we got. And we catch 20-pounders, and we were high-fiving, fist pumping, hooting and hollering. And I'm fishing with Doc Lang, who has caught thousands of fish, way, way bigger, you know what I mean, that would eat 20-pounders.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
He has never lost that thrill, that adrenaline rush.
Yep.
And that, to me, that was because I was the same way. You know, we was catching fish and we was just high five. He said it was one of the best days he's had all year. It was the day we spent.
Yeah, you know, when you got another guy on the boat that's doing that with you and you're sharing that experience, you're going through the battle, the up and the down of the trip. Even on a good day, there's a few times where you're like down, you know, and then
I'll tell you.
And
he made me feel like king of the world because most of you have known Doc Lang. He's a Rodan trolling motor fishing guy. I mean, he's always ran Rodan, but he got a new Sea Arc and he ordered a new Chirova Altera just so it will deploy itself and stuff because, it's just safer for him climbing up and back in front of the boat. He fishes by himself most of the time. But he has never run a Minn Kota, so I was teaching him how to lay tracks down and all this stuff. Boy, his mind got blown. He was
man.
"Oh my God, I did not know this."
It'll change the way you fish for sure.
He's like, these other guys keep talking about doing this, but nobody knows how to do this. And I said, dude, because we were fighting the wind. I said, man, we just need to go lay a track down and quit fighting this wind. He's like, what do you mean? And I was like, I'm teaching Doc Lane something. Are you serious right now?
There you go.
Like I was in the camera,
awesome,
like, hey, make sure this is recording. Is this thing on? But what I meant just stick to is, don't ever lose that excitement. A trophy is different for every person. Your waters may not hold 80-pound fish or 20-pound fish. Doc's caught millions of fish, and 20-pound fish still got him pumped and high-fiving. And
I tell guys, anytime we get one over 20, we're going to be doing victory dance. We're going to be doing high fives, and that's a good trip for us. I mean, even though we catch hundreds of them in a year, over 20, we probably catch close to 200 of them in a year, but every one of them, I'm still hooting and hollering and
and that's
high-fiving whoever's there. And
I can tell you from being being a content creator gives you one view on things, but then also being a subscriber and watching all these other guys fish. Yeah. Man, I'm telling you, having that passion and feeling it through the camera, shoot, that's gold, man.
Yeah. The opposite of that is when things are going bad and you're feeling bad. It's hard to put on a happy face when you're. Because fishing's emotional. I mean, you're up, you're down.
Yeah,
when you're really down, you are really down. It's painful. It might not be for some guys, but I like to have success, and if I'm really having a bad day, it's painful. It's just takes one good one though to change all that.
Yeah. I've been there, man. I've been on the same boat with Zach, and he just hammering fish on me. I'm like, what the heck is going on?
Mm-hmm.
And you're over there like, man, I'm doing the same thing. What's wrong with me? So yeah, it's emotional. You want to do so good, but sometimes it just don't always work out that way.
Yeah, and I had that happen to me. I had that happen to me during a live stream not that long ago. When from the first, before I even went live, things were going wrong, and it didn't get any better after that.
That's how it usually.
Yeah, after a while,
it starts bad. It usually ends bad.
Oh my God! And look, after a while, I just had to look everybody in the camera and say, you know what, guys, I'm mad. I'm frustrated. You know what? I'm calling it. If I don't call it now, I'm going to end up doing something that's not a good idea. I'll see y'all later. The next one's going to be better. I promise. And that's a tough lick to do that, especially with your viewers live. They just watch you struggle. But you know what? That's the beauty of it. That's being real with your people. I say, look, we all struggle. We all have those days. Yeah. Here it is, for the whole world to see,
And that's the thing, all these guys, you watch all these production videos and look like guys are just hammering fish. Like
that's not fishing. I mean, you might have a few days like that in a year.
Right. But hey, real quick, I just wanted to say, I actually was getting ready to say his name when I said, talk about getting excited over every fish. If you never watched Chunky Cats Fishing, 2-pounders, man, he is hopping up and down, and man, he is having a good time with every single fish.
Yeah, he's like a kid when he catches one. Now, 2-pounders, they don't get me quite as fired up.
Yeah.
We catch, 20, I'm starting to get fired up, but he's fun guy to watch, and he's positive. His positivity, it's like infectious. It's makes you just want to be a part of it or whatnot. And hell, even when he's not catching fish, he's having a pretty good time. That's what I struggle with. If I'm not catching, I'm having a 5-fish day, that's painful. I mean, that's brutal, really. It's hard for me to be really yeehaw, guys.
Yeah.
If I go for 4 hours and I've only caught 3 or 4 fish, it's
exactly.
Yeah.
Especially if you're live and you put the pressure on yourself.
Well, the
guys
thing
see
is,
you do all this amazing fishing, and then some of these people, it's the first time they've ever tuned in, and they're just getting your ass kicked, and you're like,
well,
like
the
I
thing
heard
is,
this guy was a good fisherman.
Yeah.
What happened?
Oh, yeah.
But that's the thing. So, like, you know, people go over and watch Chris and Jeremy fishing, and man, it's like, oh, these guys are on the fish, man. These guys are always on the fish. And then you're not on the fish, and they're like, hey, they're human.
Yeah.
Hey, he had a day like I had. You know, what I mean,
Everybody
much
has bad
so.
days,
you don't hop on all
can't
these
always
live streams
find
thinking you're the only guy not catching fish. Like, no, we all have those days. Trust me.
Oh, yeah.
So
I can tear fish up on everybody else's channel. I can't get on fish on my own channel. See, that's been my curse for a little while now. I don't know what's going on with that.
yeah,
It's cyclical, man. Sometimes you're just on fire, and sometimes you can't buy a fish unless you go call 1-800-RENT-A-FISH, which I probably should have done Sunday.
But you see what I do when I fish on other people's channels, it's usually some type of competition. And I prep for it so much that I've got my stuff together and it pays off. But on my channel, it's like the pressure's off. I'm more willing to, let's go do this. Let's go do that. And well, you see how that turns out. So, you know, hey, lesson learned.
The preparation's a big part of
Oh,
fishing.
yeah.
That's for sure.
It
Having
is.
everything ready, and your
Bobcat
game plan
says.
sound, and you know, you're usually putting in a little more effort towards getting intel from other anglers. And if you've got a friend that you know you're trying to catch them some big fish, they might not catch big fish all the time. You really want to try to get them that personal best you know, fish they'll forever remember. And when all that hard work doesn't pan out, it's like takes the wind out of your sails, like getting kicked in the guts.
It does.
yeah.
It's like, man, guys see me hammering them for the last month, and now I come out here and we just get destroyed.
Yep, I know. Like for me in particular, you know, dealing with a river, I could have laid out just the best game plan all week. I'm telling y'all, this is going to be it. You get out that morning, you hit the river, you look at the river, you think, what in the world happened to this river? It's just
for whatever reason,
completely changed.
You're going to hammer them,
and there goes the plan.
You are about to realize.
Oh yeah,
that the fishing gods are going to tell you, not today, buddy.
Yep, they said.
Not today. I don't care what what you think the conditions are right. Not today. And you're like, usually, you know, you've been doing it a long time. You kind of tell what days are going to be pretty good. But occasionally that doesn't pan out.
For me, I don't know if anybody else experiences this, but for me, when I head out in the morning, it seems like if all the other fish are active, you know, fish are popping on top of the water, and the banks are on fire. It seems like whenever all the other fish are active, my fish are active. Like,
definitely,
I'm going to have a good day. Like,
I can usually get on the water and tell what the birds are doing. You know, you say, "Oh, we'll follow the bird." You know, if the birds are up flying around looking, it's probably going to be a pretty decent day. They don't have to be actually dive bombing, but if they're up, look. But if you get out there and there ain't a bird in the sky, then probably the fish aren't going to be biting either, because it seems like everything kind of works in conjunction. I don't know what tells them all today's the day to go nuts, but
they know.
It's back to that combination.
Well,
Bobcat says there's a lot of new people in here tonight, and I think Chris, we could thank Chris for that.
Oh, cool! I tried to send some guys, both you guys' way. I told them to go sub y'all's channel.
I love it. Appreciate it.
Hopefully, y'all get some new followers. You know, we're a small channel, but
Yeah.
I think we're at 6 something, but
Yep.
I try to get my guys to go over to my friends' channels, and
well, we appreciate it a lot.
that's how I got my people. So
yeah. So speaking of your channel, you say you're at about 600 hook sets right now. What's your channel going to look like in the next year or two? You got any plans of anything, any changes?
I don't really have any plans, but I fished with my buddy Killer B this winter, and we kind of figured out a better model for our videos. And he's been helping me. He was a videographer, or not a videographer. He was a professional photographer before he was a police officer. So he's got a pretty good feel, and he's also had some guys that are really have very successful YouTube channels that helped him with the model on how to make some of these videos. So we're going to try to start building our model a little better. It seemed like we started getting some things figured out in the winter with the videos. So we're just trying to grow a little bit, each time, and try to get a little better at making them. Try to keep just having fun doing it. Like everybody, you want to hit these little milestones.
Yeah.
We were at about 100 subscribers a year ago. We're up to 20 or 30 now.
That's awesome.
Like to be at 1,000 by next winter, something like that.
Right.
I don't know if we'll do it, but that's what we're going to try to do. I mean, I don't know how this thing grows. I mean, I know we do a lot better on our fishing in the winter, but we have fun fishing in the summer, catching a bunch of eaters too. It's just different fishing. When you're catching 900 pounds, it's easier to get subscribers than when you're catching, 10 eaters or 20 eaters, or, people just don't quite get as fired up for those little fish. But
well, here's the thing I could say about your growth so far is that it's genuine. You're doing it the right way, which to me personally on my channel was a big focus for me, was to not go do a sub for sub things, not bribe everybody to come to the channel for, giveaways. Not that I don't appreciate everybody here, but I wanted to make sure, and Creole's talked about this exactly. Yeah. If you look at your algorithms and you look at your statistics, that's not statistics. What's the word?
Analytics.
Yeah, there you go.
When you go dig into your analytics and see who your core target audience is, and all this, mine's genuine, and Jeremy's is genuine. I can actually use that information. But people that go over and say, hey, everybody, let's get him to 1,000. He's at 800, and you get 200 people that never heard of you before, and they're doing it for an Uncle Lou rod. When they get there, and then they're gone, and your numbers are all messed up because you got 70 channels of folks that do gardening, and you're like, what? That don't have anything to do with it. So for me, you're doing what you're doing. You're doing it genuine. You're doing it exactly the way you want to do it. And I say just continue to do that, because in the end, it'll make your channel better.
So, we've done some subscriber giveaways. I did one. It's I don't know that I even got one subscriber off of the giveaway. I gave away a reel, and Skin and Scales Ron won the reel. So it was one of my guys that won the reel. And even on my giveaways, it's like 15 people in there. So, but
what?
I've been trying to do a giveaway when we hit 500, but I got busy with boat issues, and then my son was sick. He had strep throat. Then he got an ear infection. Then he got strep throat, and I just been putting it off. But I've got I like to give away some of my gear, instead of just letting it sit in the barn. I give away some of my gear to my guys.
Jeremy had one of the coolest giveaways I've seen yet so far. Definitely a unique package, and well thought out. I really liked Jeremy's.
I appreciate that.
But see, Jeremy, a lot like you and I's, you doing giveaways to show people thank you for your support.
Exactly.
Thank you for helping me get here. Not, hey, I need a bunch of subscribers. I'll give you this if you come over.
Yeah, exactly.
So, like when I had my last one, I went and contacted all my people. I'm like, we're doing a live giveaway. Tune in because one of you guys is going to win. There's not going to be that many people.
Right.
Yeah.
And, guys, we don't get shared out a whole lot. It's not like we get a bunch of, we've gotten shared out from some of my people, but it's not like we get a ton of new subscribers off of a live stream. We get a few here and there. We just grind and keep fishing, and we just get, it just keeps growing little by little. And anytime I've been in someone else's live and they've said, hey, I'll go sub Azul, none of them stick. YouTube pulls everyone, so I don't even try to get subscribers off of other live streams. It's pointless. It's actually heartbreaking to get a bunch of subs and then YouTube's like, pulling these, buddy. So it grows a little bit. We'll have a live stream and somebody will a couple of my guys might share it out, but most of the guys that are on my channel, everybody is all already 7 degrees of separation. So it's not like I don't know where you pull from the new pool. You guys are a little over 1,000. So obviously there's
more.
There's more.
Oh yeah.
Hey, real quick,
thank you, Don,
for becoming a channel member, buddy. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, I've said this for a long time.
Right around 1,000, 1,200. I think that's all the community, backing each other. Getting past that seems to be a little harder to get.
Yeah. Well, I'll ask you, and I'll explain why I'm asking this. Do you find in your area, do you find you either have or starting to have a little bit like of a local following, or even like maybe a state like the Texas?
Yeah, so there's not a whole lot of YouTubers in Texas. I don't know why. We just don't have a lot of catfish.
I'm the same way.
They may have some bass. I do see bass guys doing it, but no, there's only a handful of us catfish guys, and really not even a handful. But there's guys that do other, crappie, bass.
Yeah.
My buddy Bill does a little bit of everything. He does big bull sharks, bull reds, catfish, but just hardcore catfish guys. There's not a lot of us here. I've been fishing for so long. I do have a really good group of guys that are local, that support me and are part of my local catfishing family, have been for a long time. I'm always getting new guys that come in. It's all for me. It's the local stuff is more for networking, for building my intel, my being able to pull intel. I can go to any lake. I got guide buddies from all over Texas. None of them YouTube. None of my guide buddies YouTube. They just don't do it. They're out busy fishing. But it's good to have friends in the catfishing game, because you can pull information from those guys that are on the water.
Yep.
Going to travel fish. Having a network of anglers is probably one of the best friends you can have as far as trying to get some things figured out. Now, I can go to a fishery and try to figure it out myself, but it might take me 5 hours when I get there before I really can figure something out. And it helps if a guy who's already been there and done that on a consistent basis can be like, try this. If that doesn't work, try this. And to have that, you got to give. So you got to be willing to help guys out whenever they ask.
Oh my God.
Been a
Sound
long
like
time
one of
since
my
we heard
son's
that.
pullback cars.
It's been a while since we heard that. The thing is, it played. I don't even see the player. I couldn't figure out how to stop it or turn it on again. That was for Lee Evans. Peel and drag on the super chat.
That was supposed to be a clicker going off for a reel.
Well, that's a
Instead,
weird
it sounded like a
sounding clicker.
breathing
You might want to get your rod in the shop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, while we're talking, and you do a lot of dragging, right?
Yeah, we drag. We anchor in the spring, a little bit in the fall. We anchor all spring pretty much. When our fish go shallow, that's the only way you catch them. So, other than that, though, I do like pulling boards. I drag with the trolling motor. Control drift, precision drift, whatever guys like to call it.
Well, the reason I ask is I had this conversation with Doc on the boat this last week, and what is the average length of the rigs that you like to drag?
So, like leader wise,
yep.
Okay, so I'll use a variety. I'll use a variety of lengths. The shortest I will use one that's about 12 inches, but I only put one on that's that short. But most of them are about 18 to 24 inches, and then I'll have some that are 36 inches. In the summertime, I might carry one that's even longer because the fish tend to come up off the bottom more when it's really hot. But usually about 18 inches I'd say is ideal. 18 to 24 inches. When they're biting, they don't care. They're going to go after that rattle and that bait. But if they're not biting very good, it does make a big difference to have a shorter leader. And if they're laying in the mud, you want a shorter leader so they just have to come up a little bit to get it. Even a Carolina rig, sometimes we'll run those. I'll keep a couple of those on the boat.
Myself, and most of you guys already know this, I like long leaders. 3 foot to 7 foot. I've run 7 foot at times when I'm dragging Hoover Reservoir. And honestly, if Skip's still in here, most fish come on the last hook I'm on
the top hook.
Yep, the highest in the water column.
Yeah,
most fish will come off that hook, and that's why I run it so long. Is I can get it up higher, and I run 3 hooks on ours because in Ohio we can only use 2 rods, but we can use 3 hooks per line. So I put 3 hooks on that line and drag it behind us, and man, it's very clear that most fish come on that highest last hook.
Yeah. So I used to run what they'd call a Texoma rig, which is a double hook rig, but it's got a really big float, so you can float stuff up really high.
Yeah. Yep.
And we would float one up sometimes 10 feet and then one closer to the bottom. And some days you're catching all of them off that top hook. But most of the time that 24-inch hook here in our fisheries works the best. My buddy Bill, he uses about a 4-foot leader, but he fishes pretty much structure. He's dragging, points, tips of points and ledges and stuff. And I think fish are coming up, hammering those things that you're bringing up onto a ledge or onto a point. But just fishing a flat or fishing the channel, I'm a big channel guy. I fish the channel a lot in the winter. And usually about 24 inches for us is the ideal. 18 to 24.
I've
tried it all, man.
Yeah. Well, Doc run his anywhere from 12 to 18. That's it. Every single rod was about, I'd say probably 14. I don't think any of them went quite 18, but like 14 inches.
I think, 12, they'll go get that 12. The problem with the 12 is you're getting hung up more if you're around stumpy stuff. Most of these lakes are a lot of ours are stumpy, but like my lake's pretty clear, but it does have some stump fields and some rocky stuff. And you'll get hung if you got a 12-inch leader. If that's all you're running, you'll get those hung 3 times as much as a 24-inch leader. So there is something to not having hooks in the water. If you don't have hooks in the water, you're not catching fish.
That's right.
And
That's why I'm a big fan of the pre-tied rigs. You know, every one of my main lines come down to a quick clip, a heavy duty quick clip. That's 175 pound rated, and then I pre-tie all my rigs. If something breaks off or something gets nicked, I put it in the reserve pile. I'll cut it all up and retie it later. I'll grab a new rig.
So we carry a lot of rods, and I carried 10 ready to go, and I carried 6 that are stowed under the gunnels. And guys are like, "You got enough rods?" I'm like, "Well, some days I actually not. No, some days I actually run out, and I'm having to figure out tie stuff up while I'm on the water. But I prefer just to grab another one and go." And you know, that's why we carry so many rods. We're not actually fishing with 16 rods. You know, we fish with 8 usually. But having one ready to go, especially in the wintertime, when you don't have rods in the water, you're missing out on fish. That's another reason why we use big baits. We got a lot of small fish. If you got little bait, you're catching little fish. You're not having your rod, your bait in the water. You're missing. The little ones are more aggressive than the big ones usually. So,
have you ever?
Guys are like, "Oh, you catch fish on little bait." And I'm like, "Yeah, you can, but you're also going to catch a lot of little fish, which while you're catching them, you're not having your bait down there for the big one to." We put both out, medium size and big, but I'm trying to catch things that are over 15 pounds, and usually you're using that bigger bait to filter out. Dings.
What do we like?
I go small because that's where the we're catching dinks.
I like big bait, and I cannot lie.
Yeah, us too. Yeah. How big a bait do y'all go? I mean, usually in the winter, my big bait starts about as big as my hand, and I'm almost 6'2", so I got pretty big hands. I'll go anywhere from my hand up to about 11 inches with, a stinger hook rig. We use a lot of stinger rigs. Usually if I'm running 8 rigs, I got 4 of them stinger rigged with giant baits, and guys are like, "I can't believe you're throwing that." And I'm like, "Well, wait till you see what we catch." They're like, "Man," they're like, well, I'm like, "What'd you catch?" And they're like, "Well, we got some 10s and a couple of 15s and a bunch of eaters." "What'd you get?" "We didn't get any eaters. We got 4 20s, a 2 30s, and a 40. And
but it doesn't take that big of a fish to eat a big old bait. I've got about a 25-pound blue on film that ate a 16-inch long grass carp. The tail was still sticking out of his mouth.
It's crazy how small a fish will hit a big. I switched this year to Lucky 13 hooks, a big old 13-aught hook. You can still catch a 5-pounder on that thing.
Oh yeah.
So
J-Dog's not in here, but last year we were fishing and I caught about a 2-pound white bass. And I said, well, he's going back out for bait. And I stinger rigged him and put him out live. And he said, "What are you doing with a 2-pound bass?" Nothing going to eat.
That's catfish candy here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's like, "Ain't nothing going to eat that." Yo.
Oh, man.
12-pound flathead.
Yeah.
12. That's it. 2-pound bait. 12-pound fish ate it. I'm like, yeah. So,
one of the guys that helped me get started, he used to get his bait from the bow hunters, and he had he's like, "We're going to tie on some baits for 70-pound plus fish." And he's like, "The only thing that's going to hit these is something big." And it's a 4-pound carp head. And he's like, "And not a 4-pound carp, the head of a 4-pound carp.
Just
a 4-pound carp head."
Yes.
Just a giant freaking. And we caught like a 73 or something on that giant bait that day. And, it took a long time for me to really go big because I just couldn't believe. But once I committed to it, our big fish catch ratio went through the roof, really. I mean, we caught 10 times as many. I think in the winter for us, guys are like, "Oh, well, they get lethargic. They don't want a big." I'm like, it's actually the opposite. When they get lethargic, the other fish also get lethargic.
Mm-hmm.
So they start to actually key in onto a bigger fish that's sitting down there, not able to move. And they just want that one meal for the day. And if it's very easy right there in front of their face, they can't hardly resist that big thing fluttering by. So yeah,
I can't tell you how many 8-10 pound blues I've caught on whole 12, 14-inch slicker that I had a double hook rig on.
Yep.
Can't tell you how many times I've done it.
Yeah, when we fish down in Alabama, that's what we do. We'll run a whole 14-inch skipjack and stinger ring him and send him.
Yep.
Normally we'll just cut if he's not alive, which we don't fish him alive, but just cut the tail off and make him just let him start bleeding.
That's how we do it.
Yep.
My God, they'll bleed forever.
Big old baits.
Yeah.
One in the nose and one just behind the dorsal fin. And my buddy Bill's like, I can't believe you're using that big a bait. And we catch all our big fish off of those. I'm like, well, hell, if we're not using those, and we're missing out on some of these big ass fish. So there's times when the big bait is a go-to, and exactly like what you said, when they start slowing down, they don't want to. It's all about staying alive. If they have to burn more energy than they consume to catch fish or catch food, they're not going to live. But if they can put themselves in a prime situation and take big meals in with very little energy, well, then they're able to sustain themselves much longer. Yeah, and a giant fish usually has, the bigger they get, the bigger food that they're eating. Guys like gizzard shad. I'm like, actually, they want what's feeding on the gizzard shad. If you can present them with something large, your fish size will dramatically increase. Usually, not always, but usually going big means catching a lot more big fish.
Yeah. Now, there'll always be those situations where it's the other way around. I know that Skip's in here. I was in the boat with him. He caught a 65-pound blue on a quarter-sized piece of shad. Now, this was wintertime.
Yeah, you're going to do that from time to time. But a lot of times you put out that quarter piece of shad and you get a 2-pounder that comes and eats it before the 60 can get to it. So it's never even in front of the 60's face. You missed him, especially if you're dragging. Once you pass them, they're gone. So
there we go, Brandon. That's well said. I like that.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
Yep. Yeah. The flathead is at least in freshwater, man. The apex predator in the river systems.
Yeah, that's for sure. And it's
at least around here. I don't know when it competes with muskie and pike, how they compare, because those are two other. What?
on the side of the road. He picked me up on the way here.
Yeah, he had a thumb out and he had his shorts hiked up real long and showing his leg. I said, "Hey, I know a place for you, right here.
Yeah,
come on in. The water's fine."
Think about that and try to sleep tonight.
I didn't think that through.
No, you didn't. No, you did not.
But man, Chris, we ran over an hour already. But man, it's just so fun talking to you.
Oh, I know.
I appreciate you guys having me.
Absolutely.
We hadn't been friends that long, but it seemed like once we became friends, we hit it off pretty easy. I know you guys are really likable dudes.
I appreciate that.
Appreciate that.
You're not just high-level anglers, but you're also very, very helpful. And I think sometimes, guys, it's hard to stay humble. Guys like you sometimes aren't get inflated egos and everything. But you guys are like,
come on now.
brothers or whatnot, family, and y'all welcomed me in with open arms and accepted me as part of the gang, and I appreciate it. So hopefully we get a chance to fish together one of these days soon. And
yes,
I know me and Jeremy live a little closer than me and Roger do, but we're gonna make it up there one of these days. And if
Mhm.
either one of you boys are ever down my way, you're always got a seat on my boat. We're out there every
Absolutely.
weekend,
Better believe
year
it.
round. So all you got to do is say when, and we'll go do it.
Yeah, it's hard for me to invite guys to come up and fish the mighty Ohio. It's just it's not typically a catfisherman's destination. Ohio doesn't make anybody's bucket list normally. So, but I love traveling. I love meeting, seeing new waters, fish with new people. Man, every time you fish with somebody different, you learn stuff. You know, everybody does things different. They got cool little gadgets and things that you know. Me and Jeremy's actually been talking about that, doing a show and tell night. And because we've all got these little, everybody's got little gadgets and things that they like. And I'm sure you could think of something that you have that other boaters or other buddies that got on your boats like, hey, what the heck is that? Where'd you get that at?
Yeah.
And I thought it'd be a fun night to have a show and tell. And let's show some of these cool little gadgets and things that we all put on the boat. And we may have a heck of a time doing it. Might find
I think it's also cool to learn some of the tricks that guys have. Usually most of us have fished with quite a few high-level anglers, and everybody does things a little differently. Everybody's got these little tricks, not just fish catching tricks, but boat hacks and just things that make things simpler. Like, I don't know, like putting your spool of line in a koozie, or how to untangle planer boards when they tangle without having to reel two boards in, or just learning how not to snag, or when you're snagged, how to unsnag something, or
there's a lot of tricks. It's definitely always a learning experience. I got on the boat with Bobcat last week, right? And Bobcat done something I'd never done before, which was he turned the boat sideways and just started floating down river, dragging rigs. However fast the current was, that's how fast we was going. And all he did was use the trolling motor to keep the boat straight, or go towards the bank or out towards the middle. And we caught fish like crazy. I was like, what? Why have I never done this before? And and it's just like, well, I'm definitely taking this home. I'm trying this.
I would love to try that, except if I would turn my boat sideways one time, I'd be in the Gulf in like 30 minutes. It would just shove me right on down.
Yeah.
I was a little jealous of him at that point.
Yeah, but that's the thing, so for like instances like this where we're so far apart, we can come right here and we can show and tell, and we can talk about different things that now I don't know how you do it, Chris. When let's say you're running 3 planer boards out each side, catch a fish on the middle planer board.
Yeah.
Now for me, I just let line out on the inside planer board. Now I make it the middle, and now
that's how I do it. I put my inside one's my longest. And I know when I first started, it was everybody, like the guys up north do it the opposite. They put their longest ones on the outside. But like you said, when you catch one, it makes everything difficult to bring them in through all that. And I do it how you do it, man. My inside one's my longest. If I catch one on that, I try to pop that board off so I can bring it through all that.
Yeah.
And
let it fall
once
back.
I'm clear, then I try to bring it up to the side of the boat.
Yep.
And then once I get it in the boat, I release the other one for a minute or two. And once it goes, I release the next one and let it go. And then I cast the other one out and I'm fishing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, how much line do you like to run behind your boards?
It varies. If the water's just perfect, I'll go really long, maybe sometimes 100 yards on my longest.
Wow.
Woo.
If you can get a good spread. I'm trying to, get a good spread. But if it's really rocking and rolling and the fish are biting weird, I'll shorten them up. 50 yards to 30 yards to 15 yards. But it varies every week. There is no set deal. I see how they're going to pull. Every day is different. The wind, the waves, all that varies, makes it.
Yeah, you go with the wind quite a bit, don't you?
Yeah, we have big wind in Texas, so
Yeah.
guys are like, "Oh, be safe out there." I'm like, "Okay, well, there, we're always out in it, so we're
Yeah.
used to it. It's just
Oh,
like
yeah.
an ocean. We're almost like ocean fishermen, you know.
Yeah.
It's windy. We got to deal with it. If you can't deal with it, you're not going to be able to fish about 40% of the time here. So you either learn to deal with it or you sit at home and watch guys like me catch fish.
Yep.
Really,
Lord.
the wind is your friend. Big wind, you're going to do better. If you can know how to keep your boat control and all that, you'll do better in the big wind.
Yeah.
Laura, the planer boards can and will work from the bank if you've got current.
Yeah.
The only problem is if you break off or get snagged, your board is gone. In a boat,
you have no way of
we
going.
can
That's
just
the only
go-
bad
we-
part. Yeah.
We can go get it. So planer boards do work. I have used them from the bank for different reasons, and they'll work until they don't. If you snag one and break off,
what some guys will do is they've got what they call a tournament clip, and so that guys don't have to worry about going back and getting their crap. They'll have a tournament clip, and it locks that board onto your. So you'll use a heavy braid. You lock that thing onto that braid, and you just make sure you got a leader that's less pound strength than that braid. And when you break off your rig and your leader, and your board stays clipped to that heavy braid, and you can reel it all back in. You get your board back. I prefer to have my board where I can pop it loose when I'm bringing in the fish. I don't like fighting the board with the fish. I've done them both ways. I just prefer the clip it's a Scotty clip. The green Scotty clips, the ones I like. I can pop those off. They don't pop off usually unless you.
Yeah. I love the Scotty clips. Now, when I did that from the bank, the way I was using mine, I put dragon sinkers on. So because I had to keep feeding it, walk it out, where I wanted it to go. So I wanted my bait to stay on the bottom, but I didn't want to get snagged. So I just used dragon weights to slide my bait out to where I wanted it to go. I've done that for catfish, and I've done it for skipjack too.
Yeah, I would think it'd be a pretty good method, to get your stuff out there where that channel or the channel edge or whatever you're trying to hit.
Yeah. Well, if you're on the bank and you got a lot of current, it's just going to sweep it right against the bank. Right?
Yeah.
It's just going to be 50 yards down from wherever you're sitting.
Yeah.
With a planer board, you can get it out there a little bit and keep that bait out there. In the zone, if depending on what the situation is. But
those planer boards will change the way you fish, just like a trolling motor with iPilot link, or when just adding all this stuff completely changes the way you can do things and opens up things you could have never done before.
Exactly.
I mean, we use those planer boards so many different ways now. I think this is probably our 8th year using them. So when we first started using them, nobody was using them. I learned from Zach. He was pretty much one of the first guys to use them. I was out in North Carolina, went on a trip with him, brought some of those boards back, and guys are like, "You troll for catfish?" I'm like, yeah, well, I mean, I just started, but it's pretty freaking cool. And he was suspending his, and I'm like, well, I drag. I mean, can I put these on bottom? And I don't see why not. And so I started just dragging them on bottom, and turns out it works pretty dang good. And now everybody's dragging them on bottom. Some guys suspend them. I mean, I know river guys suspend them a lot, but most of us lake guys are on the bottom dragging.
I've done it more than once, especially up here on Hoover. Been in 40 plus foot of water and kept marking fish at 8 feet. I'm like, what are these fish at 8 feet?
Yeah.
And so I got a planer board. I dropped down 8 foot of line underneath of it and suspended it and sent the board out. Bam, blue cats. Like,
if I see them like that in the summer, they'll suspend up over the thermocline. I'll run them like that. Suspend it out 50 foot of water.
Thermocline though.
They're 30 foot off the bottom. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not something I come in to do a lot, but occasionally that's how I'll do it.
So we're talking a little bit about the meet and greet on the side. So I'm trying to keep track with that. So if Brandon, you know that if you need any help with that, I'm more than happy to help out and help do some planning and organizing and all that stuff. Whitey asks, do you use line counter reels with the boards?
No, line counter. I just, when I'm casting out, I look at my depth. I try to cast out, double that.
Yeah.
So that my line's at a 45. I think that having that longer line behind your board will smooths out your pull a little bit. Gives you a little more.
It changes the angle at which you're pulling. So, if you got short line out, you're like this, and you got a lot of line out, you're like this. And
yeah, it'll give you a little more natural presentation. If you're using big baits, I think it's important because you're trying to, you're wanting that fish to look like it's injured and still somewhat has a little bit of life. Big fish, they'll eat dead stuff, but they also like to eat something that's still a little bit alive. And so giving a little bit of life you'll get way more action on something that has a more natural presentation than just chunk. We'll chunk stuff up, but like we were talking about on my live stream, Roger, that fillet of whatever that's dancing around will catch usually double the fish off that cut of bait.
I love fillets.
Rather than the chunk.
Here's something else. We this happened to me and Doc this last week. We laid a track down. We laid 1.25 miles. All right. We drug it. We caught 14 fish in one drag. We spun the boat around and said, hey, let's go back and do it again. So we spun the boat around and started going back the opposite direction. We made it like halfway through, and we're like, man, we caught one fish. Like, we caught 14 fish on the way down and one fish on the way back. He had forgot to set the cruise control. We were moving at 0.2, 0.3, and we're like, oh, no. No, we were moving at like 0.6, 0.7 before. He bumped that up to 0.7 and hit the cruise control. Immediately, rod started dropping. Immediately.
Yeah.
It was like
sometimes you got to play with that cruise control.
Yeah, they wanted the bait moving. They wanted to catch it.
Yeah, you got to bump that stuff up. And it also helps if you're using rattles. It calls them in a little bit and gets them excited. It makes more noise.
Yeah, we had rattles.
And they think, oh, it's getting away from me. I got to get it. But there's also something you'll see on the side image that very often in a lake, fish feed into current. So using that wind and going with the wind, you're bringing the bait to the fish, which is their natural way of feeding. It's not always like that. We had a trip.
Oh, he froze. That is just him, isn't it?
Yeah. Because I know I was staring at it too. Because I'm watching all the lightning over my shoulder. Yeah, making sure that it's not me.
Back.
I'm back. Was that just me?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're back. You're good.
Okay. Yeah, fish will feed into the wind. So me and Bill had a trip this winter where the morning it started off where the fish were feeding. So we're drifting and the fish were coming up from behind and doing like an injury bite. And they were just kind of swimming with the bait and grabbing it. It was very weird to hook them up. You had to really pay attention to how that rod tip was moving. And, we missed probably 9 big fish before we figured out out how to hook them. And so they'd come up, they just grabbed the bait and they were just going with the current. It was very slow current. And, we figured out how to get them. We started catching them. We hammered them. I mean, I think that was our 500-pound day. About noontime, everything changed. They started feeding into the wind, and they're just, when they grab it, feeding into the wind, there's no question. That's the kind of day you love.
Yeah.
Because they're hitting it, and they're running the opposite way. They're grabbing it and going, and there's no question of what's on there. But it changed from the morning till the afternoon. The morning bite, they were coming up from behind with an injury bite. and then the afternoon they were just hammering it and running. So
yeah, it's hard. It's hard to get the hook in the corner of their mouth when they're swimming towards you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you actually, it's kind of weird. You kind of try to put a little bit of pressure as it's going, because it's a slow takedown. And you put a little bit of pressure on them, and you try to get them to sense that thing's in there, and they'll turn a little bit, and then you can crank down on them. When you feel that rod tip just load up a little bit, you can crank down on them and get them that way. That was probably one of the hardest bites to figure out, and probably one of the most like demoralizing type deals too, because you're getting into all these big fish and you're missing a lot of them, and some guys just can't ever figure out how to hook them on a day like that, and you miss every damn one of them. It's like, damn, we had so many big fish and we lost them all.
We'll have that same situation in some of the spots we fish. They'll bite, and this is on anchor on Carolina rigs. They'll bite and they'll come towards the boat. They'll come straight towards the boat.
Yeah, if you crank down on a fish like that, you lose it almost every time.
You got to hurry up, get it out the rod holder, hold it way out to the side, and sweep it. Yep, it's the only way we'll get them.
I usually just keep reeling in the slack until he turns. I got to wait for that fish to turn. Yeah,
that's how we do it. You give them a slack, but if you crank down too fast, you pull it out of their mouth and it's gone. Hang on, let me get this kid.
Hey, good night, Bobcat. Thank you for hanging out with us tonight. And Laura says that she must be a demon dragon. She heard they annoy the fish. Well, I ain't ever heard that.
Right?
I don't know where those are.
They get the job done. So, Laura, maybe you get the job done.
That'll work. Well, guys, I hate to cut out of here early, but with all this lightning going on around me, if I don't unplug my laptop and unplug my stuff,
Jackson, plug that back.
I may be on my phone for the next live stream.
Ooh, yeah.
Lightning has a bad habit of hitting around here.
All right, buddy. Will you be safe? And
so guys, I appreciate it, Chris. It was a pleasure. We will talk. We will get the other fish, brother. I promise you.
Yeah, definitely. Jackson, turn the light on.
Later, guys. Good night, everybody.
All right. Appreciate you, Jeremy. Thanks for having me, buddy.
Bon pêché, buddy.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, he's got some bad storms over there.
It's hitting us too.
Folks, not sure what's going on, buddy. Thanks for stopping in.
Hey, stop it.
Get a running start, put a Babe Ruth swing on him. I don't know about all that. That sounds like how the Pay Lakers do. They take off running and throw it over their shoulder and all that.
Yeah, that Pay Lake video you posted was sickening.
Yeah,
what a joke.
Yeah.
Let me go.
I get some comments and I get some private messages too about those when I post those up. But they're meant to stir conversation up, and they're meant to get people engaged and thinking about. I mean, the visual. I mean, there's a black and white visual there on. Are you at the club?
That's my son over there flicking the button on the light.
Yeah.
Rave.
There you go. It's a rave. Well, listen, buddy. If anybody's got any questions for Chris, real quick, you guys can drop them in there. I think I've kept up with chat for most of the night, so I'll give you guys a couple more minutes here if you got anything else. And it's a little bit earlier there where Chris is at. It's not.
It's not bad at all.
I
appreciate you having me, right, Jackson. I appreciate you having me, buddy, Jackson. Go.
He's gonna get it.
Give me a second, Roger.
That boy's a ham, that's for sure. Hey, we got Tim Scott in the house. Epic Catfish. What's going on, brother?
What's up, Tim?
Thanks for stopping in.
How's it going, buddy? Tornado. We got a tornado.
Texas tornado right there.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me. You guys go give Roger a thumbs up and go over to my channel and sub us and help us grow a little bit. We're a small channel, but we're trying to grow and have fun with it. And,
well, I can tell you that, you know, for me, I enjoy. I don't get to catch a whole lot of live streams. I'm gonna be honest. I'm driving 90% of the time. I catch a live stream, but I can't keep up with everybody's channels. But
yeah, me either. I try to stop in a little bit here and there, and
yeah,
show some support to my friends, and
yep.
And but it, you know, there's so much of it these days. It's on every night. I got a family, and
yep,
we fish on the weekends, so he's got. Can you hear that?
Oh yeah.
Well, what is Mom's doing?
Well, we're gonna wrap things up, man. Again, I thank you for spending some time with us. Honestly, just keep doing what you're doing. Your channel's growing, and it's growing genuinely. And I think you got a good thing going. Just keep at it. If you ever need anything, reach out to us. As far as fish catching goes, there ain't nothing I can help you with. You got that part down.
I appreciate that. We're gonna stay after we're out there pretty much every weekend. So
yep. All right, guys. We will wrap things up, and we will see you back here next Tuesday night. Same cat time, same cat channel. See y'all
later, guys. Appreciate y'all.